Welcome. In this video I'm going to show you how to primitively process clay. I made this video to go with an article I wrote in a magazine named Society of Primitive Technology. My article was clay processing. In that article I do cover a few things that I am not going to talk about in this video. But in this video I'm going to talk about some stuff that I didn't cover in the article. So by reading and watching both, you'll get everything. So, in this demonstration, I'll be using clay I harvested in an earlier video. But in the situation where you wouldn't have that luxury, you would pretty much process your clay where you found your clay. There will be some basic implements you'll need, but this is a primitive way of processing. Alright, we have an example of a digging stick and a container. That is pretty much all you need to do this. And a simple digging stick like that should be fine if you're gonna process the clay where you found it, because the soil should be pretty soft. Where I'm doing it here, soil isn't as soft, and I had a very hard time digging a hole with that little digging stick, so I used a shovel. And of course, as a container, you could burn out a container, you can make a container out of bark, or if you happen to have a container with you, like a small cup or something, you always just use that. You just need something small to hold water. This mud is the same mud I harvest for my article. It hasn't been processed. I haven't even cleaned all the debris out of it. There's probably some leaves and stuff in here, some small rocks. It's been sitting around for a while, so. But this is what I'm going to be using. Here's my two processing holes. They're both the same depth. One I'm going to put the unprocessed clay, and the other one I'm going to put the processed clay in. First I'm going to fill one hole up with the soil I found. I want to fill it up about 1/3 of the way. Should be good enough. Now I want to fill it up with water. Right, now that we got this hole filled with mud and water, we're going to mix it in here real good. Break up all the clumps. Alright. Now let it settle for a few seconds. Now in my second hole, I can leave it as it is, as I did in my article, or I could put something down on the inside of it. And I'm just going to use an old t-shirt shop rag I have laying around. I'm going to put it right down in here. If I didn't have the t-shirt, I could always weave something out of grass or out of a cattail or something. And the whole reason why I'm using this is as the clay settles to the bottom, I add more clay. Once I have the amount I want, I can just pull the shirt out instead of having to scoop everything out. Take some of the stuff from the top. Ease off a little bit. Alright, what I want to do is just filling it up. And this is why you want both holes about the same. This will also help to keep this dirt from falling into. It's a messy job. That's really not that messy actually. It just looks messy. Alright. So get any more in here. All we're going to do here is let the water soak back into the ground, and it'll leave us a small layer of clay on top of it. And we just keep repeating this process until we got the amount of clay that we want. Just so you know, is at first this part will go faster, but as you get more clay in here, it takes longer for the water to soak down into the soil. So this whole process could take a few days. As we keep refilling this hole with more and more water and mixing the soil in with it, we'll be pulling out more and more clay, and this water will slowly become cleaner and cleaner. So what we'll have to do is add more soil into this hole. Which will give us a thicker slush to pour into this hole right here. Well, not all that. While we're waiting for the water to seep into the ground, I thought I'll give you a few little pointers as to where to dig your 2 holes. You're going to want to put the holes as close as you can to your where you're harvesting your clay from, so you don't have to carry that mud or that water a long distance. But you also want to keep it enough distance away from your whatever you're using, your pond, the small stream bed or whatever. Keep it far enough distance away that the water won't leach into your holes from where you're gathering the mud. Just a little update. This is going to be the 3rd time I'm going to add water and cycle it over to the clay side. Let's give it a few minutes here. While we let it settle, we're gonna just scoop out some of this debris here. Yeah, I'm using a canteen cup now. Just a little bit easier. It doesn't take long for that sand to fall back to the bottom. Alright. Taking a little bit longer for the water to drain into the soil than what I'm used to, right? Because we've been getting a lot of rain lately. So, oh yeah, see, real nice. Compared to that. Now you can feel a big difference just in texture too. A lot finer, a lot grainier. Got sand, clay. So when you do it the first time for yourself, you'll understand what I mean by the little difference in texture. Alright, this is our third fill for the day. I'm going to call it quits for the day. I'm going to let all the water seep into the soil, and tomorrow morning when I come out here, we'll be able to get a look at how much clay we've collected in the last day. And depending on how much it is, we'll either work on this for another day, or else we'll start drying the clay out a little bit so we can work it. Here's our clay hole. You see there's still a layer of clay on there with some sand underneath it. And here's our more processed clay right here. We're gonna try and get some more clay out of this. So we're gonna fill this hole up again, maybe add a few more scoops of soil, and then dump it in there. Go. That's pretty good right there. Fill it up. Right, let's mix it up.
Where's the daddy? There was him inside. It's too far away. So.
There you go, that's fill number 4. Okay, we're going to do fill number 6, and this will be the last one for today. Mix it up. That settle for a few seconds. And we'll be back in the morning to check up on it. We should have enough to work with tomorrow. So we'll see you then. We filled this up 6 times and let it drain 6 times. It's been 3 days. Would have been 2 days, but I had rain yesterday, so I extended the wait time an extra day. We're gonna pull this up and see how much clay we got. Looks like some clay. Oh, got a nice little bit of clay right here we could scoop out. This is how the clay would normally layer in here if we didn't have the cloth in there. It's okay if there's a little dirt in there. Just pop this right in. Alright. Let's go down nice. Well, here we are. See a nice bit of clay right there. Still a little wet. The next part of this process is letting it air dry a bit, getting some of that excess moisture out. So here I have a little ball of clay, air drying out just a little bit, get some of that extra moisture out. We'll come and check on it in a little bit. If we dry it out too much, all we have to do is add a little bit of water to it and rehydrate the clay. Let's say we didn't have this cotton shirt that we used to collect the clay in from the second hole, and we just had the hole itself, or we didn't have any kind of grass or anything on the bottom. We could still collect that clay out of there, just all I did. The excess clay I collected that was underneath this. We could just collect it up, test it out, and if it's too wet, we could just leave it in the hole for a little bit longer until it gets to the right consistency that we like to use to make our pot or whatever we want. And we can just leave it in the hole until we're ready to use it. If it gets too dried out, we can just add more water, or we can just keep adding more clay water into it until we get the amount of clay we want, or we can just store it in that hole. Pretty simple, pretty easy, real usable. Just takes a little bit of time. This would took 2 days, but added an extra day because it rained and got everything all wet again. Here we are. It's been a few hours. Clay's been up here. It's actually looking real good. If it's still a little bit wet, not a big deal, because I'm just going to put it in plastic bags. So Doesn't have to be perfect. Here we go. Here we go. All we're going to do is put this in a plastic bag. Might need two. Now, of course, if you were in a situation where you're making this because you needed it, you'll be using it right then and there. But since I'm going to use this for another video, I'm going to put this in a little plastic bag here so it doesn't dry out. And in a future video, we'll be making some pots with it. Or whatever. Whatever we come up with. Pots. Clay marbles. I don't know. There's a lot here, so. My name is Robert Wilson, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something from it. And I'll see you with my next video. Thank you.